Shalom, this is Star by Sarala, Elijah and Kemp. And first and foremost, I'd like to give praises, honor, and glory to the Father and the Son, and the proper true Hebrew tongue. Kal Lam La, Yahweh Shema Shai, Bashim Harakah Kudash Ma'amah. Also, them to the elders and apostles of GMS, and them Samad as well, Aharon by Sarala. Peace and blessing to 1/3, and citation to for elect. This lesson is finna go simply being apt to teach, having patience with not only yourself but your brethren, your sisters, and of course to serve the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai, having faith and patience in Him. The simple fact that as a man you are here to teach, that you're put on this earth to either at least believe, and of course believe in the name of Yahweh Shema Shai if you're the 1/3, and of course if you want to be one of the elect, you're going to have to be apt. You're going to have to teach. You're going to teach your brother. And even of course in the 1/3, you're going to have people that just pull people to the truth. And of course, pull them towards the man of the Lord that's on the highways and byways, preaching and prophesying the name of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai. So I'm going to get this. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2, and I'm gonna start at verse 22. Actually, verse 21. If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, and meet for the master's use, and prepare unto every good works. So ultimately, if you purge yourself from all the wickedness, of course you're going to do that to an extent, but because you got wickedness all around, it's a wicked society, especially in America, especially in this kingdom, you're gonna have nothing but wickedness. Wickedness walks on tools, on their feet. Sometimes you see Esau crawl, but or on a wheelchair, but still though, ultimately you're gonna just see wickedness every to and fro everywhere. Verse 22: Flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace, with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. So ultimately, you're supposed to have a pure heart when you call on the Lord, and with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. So you're supposed to flee all carnal things, all sins that going back to youthful lust, those sins, that type of death. You're supposed to flee from that, and only have simply righteousness, faith, and charity, and peace, with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart, So with your brothers and sisters, that the so-called Negroes, Latino, and Native Americans, and speckled birds, to have peace with them, to have patience, to be only righteous with them, to have no God in your mouth, I'm gonna get this is verse 22. It's like it is verse 23. But foolish and unlearned questions avoid, knowing that they do gender strife. So of course, if you have any doubt in your mind, if you have anything that's going away from Yahweh Shema Shai, of course you should flee from that as well. you should flee from any foolishness or anything that you will alert. But of course you still gotta be able to teach. That's what this lesson is about. Because you can simply teach that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and speckled birds, or the true children of Israel, the name of Yahweh, that the true name of the Father is Yahweh, that the true name of the Son name is not Jesus Christ, it would be Yahweh. And of course, you can go even more in depth with that, with linguistics, with history, with the Ark of the Covenant, with everything. So, but you can't go more than that. But it's simply to get the word, the simple thing, that if you're a child of Israel, being the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, you're most likely you are a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American, or speckled bird in today's time. In the servant of the verse 24, and the servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men. So that go for men, women, and children. Apt to teach, patient, in meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves of Yahweh peradventure will give will give them repentance to acknowledgement of the truth, and that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will. So come, man, that's what you're supposed to do at the end of the day. If you're a man of the Lord, you're supposed to be able to teach and be patient with your brothers and sisters and children, right? That are the bloodline of Israel, because they're in the snare of Esau, man. They're in the so-called white man, the Caucasian race. That's the devil. That's the deceiver. You know, they have that, especially in this kingdom. That's all we seen. We only seen wickedness on TV. We only seen wickedness in the newspaper. We seen wickedness from our brothers or sisters, our fathers and mothers, our aunts or grandmas. We only seen nothing but death and pestilence. You may have a good life, but of course, you're gonna have the bad stuff. You're gonna see the bad, Because I can say my child was bad, but of course, now being in truth, there's everything. You can't help but to be to analyze and see all aspects of things, and ultimately being a man of the Lord, you're only gonna see wrong or right, because at a time I was in the wrong, and now I'm trying to be right to the best of my ability through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah. And of course, going back to being patient and have to teach the word of the best of ability. Of course, you can go on highways and byways, or if you being a 130, if you're on the sideline, being a believer, you can just appoint them to a man of the Lord. Simple as that. That's such in the zeal of Yahweh Shema Shah to just appoint a brother, sister, child to a man of the Lord, because they'll have more than what a believer have, because or about the same, because they do this every day. They even, of course, even 130, you're gonna study it as well. But for the men of the highways and byways, they're gonna be at the teach, because they on the corners and they are on the highways and byways, and they're never gonna be exempt from teaching that people. Because even if you try to, if you try not to teach somebody, ultimately the zeal of the Lord gonna come out. You gonna instantly tell them right, and the right gonna be according to the scriptures. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man's soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. So ultimately, right now, this can also be going on for this time, because this is a place we are in. We are in the midst of Babylon. We are in the land of our captivity. We're in the land of confusion, spiritually south in Egypt. We're in America, and right now you see most of our people, the so-called Negroes, Latino, Native Americans, and speckled birds. They all lost. They don't know who they are. They believe they Cush. They think they Cush. They think they Mizraim. The Ethiopians and Egyptians. They believe they're everything except for a child of God. They believe they're gangsters, goons, and thugs. And women would like to call themselves, B words or hoes or harlots, But honestly, you're a woman. Of course, if you want to be a harlot, then you simply are a harlot. But you can also be transformed. You can be renewed. You can be refreshed. The Lord can do that. It's like it. The Lord can heal anyone. So healing a harlot, healing someone in a wheelchair, healing anyone is nothing. It's light works to the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah. So I'm gonna say it again. Flee out to the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. So don't be caught up with everything America has. America got so much what's it called? Like sideshows, like clowns and jesters and puppets, like stuff you see on TV. It's simply TV, television. Now, of course, television is a gateway to see a man of the Lord on TV, the unicorn, the internet. But ultimately, what they have on TV is nothing but wickedness. They spout on wickedness to children, to your children. They're pushing wickedness on children. Of course, they put sodomy and disorder on children. But so you supposed to be cut off from her iniquity, which is this place, this whore. Babylon. So, and of course, going back to the main lesson, for this is the time. Oh, it's like it. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. So that's what we're supposed to do as a man of the Lord. We're supposed to anyone we see that has a slight zeal of the Lord, a lost soul, you got to teach them. You have the ability, and now you have to, you got the medicine. So why not treat them? So you see any brother or sister lost, because you can see child. Our people like to say that's a grown man. The boy be 8 years old because ultimately he was. That's reincarnation. That's regeneration. So you can tell a kid that he was somebody in his past life, and you can tell him everything that he needs to know. You can do that for a child, you can do that for a woman, you can do that for a man, you can do that for anyone that's of the nation of Israel, because you gotta be able to teach. Even though 2/3 of people gonna be destroyed and 1/3 gonna be saved, and only 144,000 elect men gonna govern the New Jerusalem. You still have the ability to teach one, reach one, get anyone saved out of this place. This is Colossians chapter 3, verse 16. Let the word of Hamashiach dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. So come, man. That's how you're supposed to have the gospel, the good news. Of course, there's bad news and good news, but ultimately, the bad news is the good news. For our people, they think most of their family perishing, being destroyed. Everything being, for most of the earth to be nearly, to be inhabitable. To have nuclear destruction around the corner, to have 2/3 of people being cut off. It's like 2/3 of people being destroyed. And of course, Esau going into slavery, because some people love the average white man. They love Esau, man. That's what they like to call him, a white man. They think he pure, not knowing that 50 years ago he had a noose around his neck legally. Really, not even 50 years ago. So the bad news to our people is really the good news, that everything is going to be destroyed. But how do you clean something? The best cleaning agent is fire. That's why you're gonna have the 200 million ICBMs